think it's another brief moment in time when we get to see the change of the tides. The shifted, twisted bit technology showcasing the little bits of safety, while the quick trips are surely randomly sparking the photons around me. Let the light flow from the heat, yo. When the photons ignite, highlighting, yo, then you know it's that time when we force a change in tides. A little bit lined with something in us. It's almost like we something else, autonomous, or maybe perhaps it's that missing piece you needin'. Perhaps it's that simple message you searching. Perhaps it's just a different time framing us for the next adventure in the mainframe. Getting excited, so are the photons. Don't laminate so we can change the coupon. Let me raise the hash rate, submit the coupon fake, and reduce the rate while we mine our major bags. Crypto technology like cryptographic money will hash in your life into a set of QRs. It doesn't matter cause it's time for 3D changes perspectives. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Hello, hello, hello. Whoa. Okay. Well, I have to apologize. I don't know what just happened. My mic is not responding. It's on. I'm not getting anything out of it. I apologize for that inconvenience. Now we're back down to my other mic, so at least we have something. But it probably doesn't sound as good on your end. Now, all right. You probably saw the title. This is another Linux episode. But this time we're actually going to talk about the experience. I want to go over some basics. Like, because it was months ago when I said I was going to go full Linux as a daily driver. I've already done some videos of the process of getting myself on Linux to show you guys how you guys can get yourself onto Linux, especially with older devices. I think that was my best example. So, something I realized along the way using Linux was, well, I really only keep talking about one flavor or one set of Linuxes because those are the ones I'm using. So today we're simply going to expand on starting simply with Linux. It's a crazy ideal, I know, but we're gonna do it today. We're gonna make it happen. I do kind of want to try my mic again, see if I can get it to respond. It has the better audio quality, I guarantee.
Hello, hello. Well, alright, here we go. I got it back. Okay, so alright, I want to go ahead. We gotta start thanking our partnerships and sponsorships. I want to thank DeOrganize for teaming up with Bitcoin Live Digital Broadcasting DB. Because Bitcoin Live DB and DeOrganize are a powerhouse combo. I see new heights for both organizations. Now, if you haven't checked out any of the DeOrganize early morning broadcasts for stacks and other topics, well, they will be taking off every morning with more and more viewers, so go ahead and catch them on Twitter and pretty much anywhere you view this except for Odyssey.com. Alright. Now, believe it or not, we do have a sponsor, so I want to go ahead and bring them in because we have a really good one for you guys. I want to thank Shield Folio. That's today's sponsor. You see big old thing right behind me. Shield Folio. Thank you for sponsoring today's episode within the Quantum Bit as well as the Bitcoin Live DB network. Now, if you haven't actually tried a Shield Folio, well, they're like a little black book that are made from stone paper. So they're fade resistant, tear resistant, and even water resistant. So you know the info and secrets you store in the Shield Folio will last and survive whatever you throw at it. I personally have a Shield Folio, and I use it for my website info, contacts, crypto keys, among other things. I don't want it on my computer or on the internet. I put them in these little black books instead. Now, they are pocket sized and ready to be by your side regardless of your eventual in real life or online. And I really do mean this. I love these little books. They have other things on their website. But go ahead, use the QR on the screen at any point in time. You see this big one. There's also a tiny one in the middle. That tiny one will stay on screen all throughout the episode. So you can scan it, go shop, see what they have, get yourself a Shield Folio. Use Bitcoin Live 20 at checkout to get 20% off your purchase today. Now again, you can actually get Shieldfolio in a bunch of locations. So we're giving the direct location to their website because this offer is only good on their website. Bitcoin Live 20. Alright, let's go ahead and roll in with the roll-ins and get rolled in. Alrighty then. Okay, we are rolled in. Thank you again, Shieldfolio, for sponsoring today's episode. And I want to go ahead and welcome everybody into the photon of the greater fourth dimensions quantum machine. That's right, we're doing this here, we're doing it live, and we're going straight in. Let's jump up. Oh, that's the wrong one. Jump up, there we go. What is up? The other one sounded better, to be honest. Oh, thank you.
I appreciate the honesty. I can always redo the settings. Thank you so much, Greg, for commenting so I can see that. Alright, so this right here, this is how we do every episode. You're going to see these little QRs popping. Wait, where's my little QR popping? Hold on a second. I see where it's at. I see why you can't see it. And it's because we have a little bar on the side we're trying to hide. So let me just re-hide that bar for you real fast. Okay. Now we're gonna click this little button. That's the QR I'm talking about. Alright, so throughout the episode we're gonna show up a QR. That is wherever we're at. So you can catch us, you can follow along. Doesn't matter if I'm live or you're watching the rebroadcast. You will always be able to find wherever we go. So have your phone ready to go ahead and scan it. Now if you're on a phone, that's fine. You can always take a screenshot and go to it later. Use your smart screen reader on your device to actually read the QR later through the screenshot. Alright, so this very first example I want to show you guys. This is actually the organized media, the people I was talking about a few minutes ago. They go live almost every morning with their Bitcoin, stacking stacks, all sorts of stuff. They're kind of like your daily hookup for what's digitally popping. I totally recommend it. Alright, now we're going to close off as we go. So we're going to remove the old as we go. This is our free research query for the day. So I give every episode, I give you guys a free research query. That's hard to say. Free research query for you to look up. So if this interests you, anything about today's episode interests you, this query might assist you after today's episode and going further into down the rabbit hole. Now again, this is free today. Today's free research query is how to get started with Linux. And like always, I did not use this query in today's episode research, but that doesn't mean we won't have some overlapping links. If anything about today's episode interests you, please check back here later after the show and jump down the rabbit hole using this keyword on your screen. Alright. So let's catch up for a second, okay? Let's play catch up for a minute. Let's just think about this for a second. There have been many episodes in the past where I have previously talked about Linux distros. It's, but normally, like I said, we speak specific distros. So in a previous episode, I made an image of what I called the known Linux universe, with main Lux GNU to the right, big flavored Ubuntu on the left, and which that section actually would show more sections because it's one inside the other. I'll explain in a minute. So you can see in the screenshot or the clip thing where you can kind of see what I'm talking about, right? So let me go ahead and just give you that QR. So here it is. It's on the right. This is the Linux universe. We have like big butt daddy Linux, and then we have Ubuntu on the left. So if you split this image in half, and you take just the right side as one graph, and just the left side as a different graph, well then the right side is all the Linuxes working together. The closer they are to another one, the more like that one they might be. that the ones closer to the top are unique, but then the ones closer to the right are closer to GNU Linux. The ones on the bottom are more like standard, and the ones closer to the right are more like GNU Linux. And then everything, there's nothing over to the left. So the left's a whole different thing. So now if you look right behind my head, there's the little circle with the dots. That's Ubuntu. That's the Ubuntu universe, and that sits in that one little spot. Now that's what the left side of the graph is. The left side of the graph actually just shows the Ubuntu universe, because Ubuntu has its own like little zone within Linux. All right. So now that we've caught up with you, let's begin. So I have a list of distros I want to show you guys, because most likely there is a distro for you, but I just can't just show you a few, because you see there's quite a bit here to work with. So we're going to go through it, and I'm going to do this in a manner that I think is going to show you the best option for most people, and then we're going to slowly go into the more crazy options, and then more historical options. So I always like to show you guys a little bit of history with these things. So that first one, we're going into it, guys. Well, guess what? You're gonna need to know how to get into Linux. You're gonna need how to make a USB, boot up a bootable USB or bootable DVD. I believe this one specifically the USB. So, and I don't know how many times I've actually covered this and gone over the steps for making a bootable USB or DVD. I'm sure it's in our playlists here on YouTube or there on YouTube, so you can go ahead and check them out, find it, and watch them. We've done ones over like with Rufus and Etcher, and so here is a guide for users wanting to switch to Linux that are currently like on something like Windows or Mac. Something to note here, you will want to have persistent memory or non-attached memory to the operating system. So that way, so that way it can be open and viewed by any operating system. So this will allow Windows, Mac, Android, Linux, all the operating systems to be able to view, talk to it, access it, and see what's going on in that persistent memory. It's separate from the operating system, but on the same drive. So when you're messing with the operating system, you don't have to worry about losing your data, especially during like recoveries and such. Now if you keep in mind, if something's wrong with the drive, you have to wipe the entire drive. That will affect it. It's because this is just basically detached memory from the OS. All right, but this site that I'm showing you guys here, it's going to get you there. Now I am showing you the reader mode version of it, so I don't know, the site might look slightly different, but this is, you can see a couple different versions and different ways, but all the same steps to get you there. All right, now this is how you do the exact same thing on Linux. So, but I'll go ahead. All right. You may be wondering, hey, if we're wanting to switch to Linux, why do we need to know how to do a bootable USB for Linux from Linux? And that's actually a really good question. So one of the easiest methods for recovery on Linux is creating a bootable USB drive after you have your Linux set up. Apps, configurations, not necessarily your files. Okay? So when all goes wrong, you just insert this boot USB, shut down, restart into BIOS, tell the computer to start from the USB, and then switch again to Linux, basically. Wipe out your old Linux, not your hard drive, just the Linux, with this older, this version, this backup, essentially. And it won't mess or do anything with your persistent memory, so you can keep your files separate. Remember, persistent storage is for your personal files. You don't want to lose during these types of recovery events. So like once you have your Linux set up and how you like it, you build a recovery USB, so you can always return there in case of emergency. Yes, this is like the old man equivalent of a Windows restore point or restore USB, which Windows 10 had and Windows XP had. But you can actually, there is a way to create backups on Linux. They really do exist. Now, I'm not going to actually go through, as you see, I didn't go through the other one, and I'm not going to go through this one. These are going to be all the same steps, but they're just Like you see here, we're doing some of these steps through the command line instead of like going through a program. And some of this stuff, once you go through some stuff, it brings up like a program. So it's a bit confusing, but it's worth the experience at least, because it will definitely get you used to doing some things and used to reading some things, like um, this little bit of code here. Where did I just list it? Yeah, this little bit of code here, where you type in this right here, and even if you take this whole thing, even if you take the whole thing, this first bit is a comment. It's been designed to not mess you up, so it's fine. It's great. Works. So, okay. Let's start with Arch. Let's just start there. Arch Linux. Let's do this. So here is Pre-Search AI, and as it states, Arch Linux is a continuously updated OS. Alright, so let me see if I can, yeah, continuously updated OS. That's what that rolling model means. So it doesn't have sets like other distros. It just has Arch, and then you just update Arch, and it just keeps that being updated. And a lot of Mac users are used to Arch type stuff. But Arch is also one of the most customizable Linux distros around. There are probably twice the documentations for Arch than there are for all of the other Linux distros combined. This is the most common one for people to end with. Very few actually start here. And I'm getting you here because some people are going to want to start here because they hear most customizable Linux, and they want that. Okay? And the other people are going to want this because it just updates. It's not a set. I don't have to worry about going to the new version and all my stuff change. And is my desktop going to mess up? Or no. No. You set it, forget it, it works. Alright. Now, I mean, just because not everybody starts there doesn't mean sometime down the road, later on, you might not want to come back here and find out how to get here. So, let's give you a little bit of an introduction to how a lot of these guides are going to work. You see we have like a strip on over here by my head where we can, let's go ahead and make this dark. Let's make this wide, make this large. So you see we got like a table of contents, we got info in the middle, we have related content over here on the right, and it just pretty much tells us what to do. Now you see some of the stuff, it's telling us UEFI mode, that's the boot up stuff, that's the stuff we've already been talking about. Alright, set up your keyboard layout. Now, whoa, there's a way to set up the keyboard layout directly from the terminal. Yes, there is. Like you can see here, it's going to give you everything. And some of this might be a little bit overburdenly. Like a lot of you might look at this and they go, ooh, I'm not doing all that. So, look how I just downgraded all that. We got a section of preparing storage, installation, configuration, unmount partitions, reboot, what to do after installation. It's actually quite a bit here. Okay? So when you break it down into these smaller bits, it's 10 times easier to deal with. And some of this you're just like literally reading blah 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 blah. Okay, put this in. Alright, put this in. Alright. And it's literally that simple. And it's like this one, we don't take the hash, we leave the hash. And that's something that you'd have to figure out. And I know, like, some of these things, it sounds so complicated. Now, I actually know this is Arch Linux. You keep the hash, don't you? Oh my gosh, that's right. I don't normally use Arch Linux. And that's the thing. Like, I wanted to sit here and actually explain to you guys each and every one of these individually. I really can't. Okay, I don't use them all. I don't know them all like that. And they don't all work the same. Which is the whole reason for today's episode. They don't all work the same. So these tiny little changes might be needed. But your very first guide I'm going to give you per distro is going to be a generic installation guide. Okay? This one just happens to be a very specifically good detailed Arch Linux guide from Arch Wiki because it's Arch. And again, some of the most documentations for Arch exist than anything else. Alright, we need to go to the next one. So I did find, okay, all of these are going to have like basically a second type guide or tips and tricks or some other option for you. Sometimes one guide is too complicated. I want a second guide. This one, as you can tell, this is after you're on Arch. A little bit of a guide to help you out. This is like, I got notes here. Just because Arch is the most custom distro, yes, it's still also the most difficult distro to learn. Linux there's a guide to help you. This is basic, simple tasks in Arch that most users, like Windows users, Mac users, are going to be accustomed to. So this site kind of shows you what you're going to need to do. Like a good example in here is they show you how to install Arch Linux directly from the terminal with one simple Arch install. Wow, that's insanely simple. But also, like, simply run sudo pacman and then -SYU, which synchronizes your package database and upgrades all installed packages. Wow, you can upgrade everything all at once. Perfect. You got new software equally can be done with simply like sudo pacman, this bit, and you name, you just type in the package name like it says. And so, like, a lot of this stuff where it says like package -name, it's just like you literally put in the package name. Search term, you literally just put in the search term, and you can search for packages through pacman on Arch Linux. Insane amounts of customizability. It's even got specific ones for like NVIDIA and utilities and things like that. It's what you're going to need if you're going to Arch. Okay? Alright. So now, you're going to notice a pattern pretty quickly. Here's Research AI about Ubuntu. So, Ubuntu Linux is a user-friendly open source operating system based on Debian. Now, did you notice that term based on Debian? That describes something about the distro. So if we continue on, known for its ease of use, strong community support, and regular updates. Okay, but what is Debian? Well, apparently it has nothing really to do with that other stuff. It's something different. And a good example to explain this real quick, Arch Linux is a pacman distro. And if you notice, the package manager was pacman. Package manager literally just stands for pacman just stands for package manager. So now Debian is actually a family of distros, just like how pacman is a family of distros. Now, pacman is specifically a family of distros that inherently just use pacman, that specific type of package manager. Now, while Debian distros they use multiple package managers. Some of them do use pacmans also. So, it's not specifically around the package manager. So, the type of Linux is going to be centered around something about it. Like the Raspberry package, like the Raspberry family OSs are around using them on Raspberry Pis. There's even mobile family of OSs. So there are different. So whenever you see, I use blah 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 because it's an Ubuntu, or I use blah blah because it's a Debian, they're really talking about something inside the Linux distro, and a lot of times it's the thing that makes it just easier for that person. And that's a key point. Okay. So this is going to be most of the first guides are going to be from this place right here. This is probably one of the best places to get to. Like when you come to here normally, let me show you what it looks like. It is super well done, super well laid out, super well designed. Most people will not get confused here. It's designed to be straightforward, copy paste. It works. It's designed to work. I love this site. We're going to be using it quite a bit today. So, see that table of contents? That's all it is. It's 7 steps, and 3 of these steps not really there, so it's actually 4 steps. Actually, you can install it in 2 steps, like that series. So, there's more information here than just installing. It goes beyond that, and that's why we're going to be using it a lot. Now, let me make sure I give you that QR again, because I'm going to really need it for this one. this is going to be your entryway into Ubuntu. All right. Well, you're going to need some tips and tricks. You're going to need something to know. There's so many different flavors of Ubuntu. I really thought tips and tricks for it would. This one teaches you good habits. And keep in mind, this is actually for pretty much all Linux forms that some of the scripts might be different. Some of the ways you do things might be different. But in general, these are good habits for Linux. Getting grip with your terminal early, learning how to handle your formatting. Do I get a sudo or do I don't use sudo? Things like that. Figure out the filing system hierarchy. So on every one of these, they have some weird file system that you need to figure out where does my file sit. You need to learn that. So like it says, this includes the home folder, like a Windows user, the bin, boot folder, etc. folder. So tiny little things you don't normally see in other ones. You need to know what they mean. Enable extra repositories. Now this is very common on Ubuntu. This one actually is more Ubuntu specific. But some people have this philosophy in Linux where the more is always the better. Not everybody agrees with that. So here's a simple way to do it in Ubuntu. Install Ubuntu, restricted extras for extra codecs fonts to playback. And some of this stuff is, like it says, that's all it is. That's what it's called, so that's why they're saying it that way. Which will allow you to run restricted systems. Just more stuff. TLP is web service stuff, or web service stuff. Now then it says, all right, customize your Ubuntu theme, and here's some stuff specifically on customizing Ubuntu. See, GNOME tweaks. Brings it up. It's like bringing up the program or whatever. Boom, done, roasted. So, Ubuntu is designed around simplicity. And since there's more than one flavor, you can just get a loadout that you like. Like, especially if you're playing games, kind of used to having, like, loadouts where, I want to have my shotgun and my handgun, or no, I want to have my rifle and my shotgun, or, I want to double fist the pistol. Like, those are your loadouts, right? Depending on what map you're going to, depending on who you might be going with, harder players, good, lower, lesser, easier players, like, you might want a different one for different things. Maybe you're trying to have fun or not, or you're being serious. So you want the sniper. Like, that's how Ubuntu's set up. You can have a different one for a different feel of the day, even. It's great. All right, next. All right. So this is Pop OS, okay, with an exclamation mark and everything. And as you see here, it's a user-friendly Linux based on Ubuntu, designed for developers and gamers, featuring sleek interface and excellent hardware support. Yeah, there are specifically gaming OSs for Linux, and this isn't even the only one we're going to show. There's actually another one later I'm going to show. So, alright, I really want you guys to catch the setup. Similar to the first ones, your very first set guide is going to be basically how to do this, how to install it, how to get all this running. Okay, it's going to be that. Give you this link. Alright, so here's your first one. We're not going through it. Okay. This is the guide to get you started. This is a guide. This is the one that does have the thing to get you started, does all that, plus it's got all the extra stuff. This is the one I normally use, the first one on the other ones, but with Pop OS, the first one I just showed you, it's an easier to install guide, while this one has a lot more content than just installing, so it will get you there. And again, this is kind of the setup, okay? So give me a second, hold on. We're going to speed run the remainder of these Linux OS options that I have, because I think all people should kind of at least know a large consideration of Linux distro possibilities, because their need for the particular thing they have, device or whatever, it might be an older PC, it might be a Linux they're wanting to use on their PS2, it might just be a special Linux to do special tasks or specific tasks. Well, Linux has you covered. So use the construct of quick info on distro plus a name then the install guide on the next one, and then a tips, tricks, or optional secondary install guide. Take notes, bring a piece of paper, use a notepad on your computer or phone. Just take some notes of which distro names you may want to try. And then, guess what? Use the keywords to go back and actually find out what's going on. So the first time you watch this video, it should mostly be like, alright, what you got? Then you should go find those distros, re-listen to them again, get the keywords, right? And then go try them out. Okay, so let's go through Pop! OS and starting this speed run setup, basically, okay? Alright, we just finished Pop! OS, right? So the first one I'm doing is called Netrunner. Alright? Now, for many, this one right here will be the right one for you. It's a bit older, a bit smaller. It's made for cheaper devices. Netrunner might actually help you. You may, especially if you have like a more of an online lifestyle, and you're not really like a soft kind of person, like you don't really like software. You'd rather just use the website or something. Netrunner may be perfect for you. Here's the Linux box for it. You're gonna be fine. It is really good. But we got some tips and tricks. So again, these are very much Linux tips and tricks. So for example, if your Linux uses Dolphin file viewer, then the Dolphin split view, the terminal inside Dolphin, those tips and tricks are going to also probably work for you. So a lot of these will work on more than one distro, but so it's really good to still check out maybe later. Let me show you what the site actually looks like, because we are actually getting these tips and tricks directly from the Netrunner people, and they got videos. So you don't even have to read with this one if you don't want to. Alright, let me get you that link again, because it's kind of cool. Okay. So the next distro is Linux Mint. So this is like a Windows to Linux distro. Many users get long-term Windows users to get on Linux. Like this is the one when Linux users are trying to get their Windows friends on Linux and they just won't leave Windows. This is the one they hand them. Okay. If you're a Windows person, you're like, oh, I can't do anything. How long has that been off? I know how long it's been off. Give me a second. I'm moving a tab. Just give me a second. Give me a second. Moving a tab. Because I can just pull that up real quick. We don't have to lose space. Alright. So you guys see what I just did, right? Alright, watch this. So I know where we left off at, because I dropped off to give you that quick talk about how I was going to speedrun this, and then I did not look up to see how a speedrunning is. So we're going to speedrun this again. Yeah, because I keep all the links and stuff, right? So I mean, Netrunner OS. There's what it's about. It's online use. Guess what? There's the guide for Netrunner. Super simple, very good. I love it. Let me give you that QR one more time. Tips and tricks from the Netrunner site themselves. Again, videos. You don't have to worry. Just listen, pay attention, and follow along. Alright, we're back where we just left off. Linux Mint is the distro they put your friends on when they can't leave Windows. This is the one they go to. Here's the absolute comprehensive guide. It's actually a little bit bigger than some of the other ones because, as you can see, there's more than one way to do this one. This one has a multitude of ways to do it, and a lot of people tend to run this side by side with Windows. Okay, it's the one that people tend to use while they're in the process of leaving Windows. Alright. Let me drop these off. Oh, make sure you get the Linux Fox for this one. Now, 15 cool things you can do in Linux Mint. Now, these are going to be more specific to Linux Mint. So, you know. These are made design. These are specific to Linux Mint, because Linux Mint has specific usability, specific functionality that people are looking for, similar to Windows. Remember, so that's what it's about. All right. So here is what is it? Small, damn small Linux is a lightweight, minimalist Linux distro designed to run on older hardware. Actually, this is basically to save old computers. It's super fast, super lightweight, and efficient computing system that a lot of old devices are going to be able to handle. Okay, it's called DSL. I love that. That's also an internet connection. Now, here's the Linux Fox on DSL, and here's actually more of like a guide to save your old PC with DSL. Okay, really cool. So here's the next one. Next one is Canopix. Yes, yes, there is a Linux design to not actually be installed. You can, it can help you in a pinch. It's also a very common way to like fix your Linux. But it can also be a common way to just load into your OS. If you ever wanted to just like, you could pull the USB or the DVD and just leave a brick there for people to be confused until you reinsert your device, USB or DVD, and then it kind of comes back to life next time you load it up. It's kind of neat. Alright, so here is the Linux Fox for it. They're going to take care of you. Again, this is one of those bigger ones. It's got more options. But we went ahead, and this is kind of like a bit, if you never used the forum, here's your chance, okay? You click on like the little email thing, this little, see how like the title lights up or whatever. You click on there to bring into the actual chat. So let me see if we can bring it up real fast and show you. Alright, so then here it is, and now we can see all the people talking below it. In this case, they have no, like, oh, okay, here they are. Here they are. Here's the answers. eBay. So, people are asking questions, and that was the response. If there's more responses, it would probably show up down there. But, yeah. And if you see, here's the info. Okay. Whoa, hello. That ain't right. Give me a second. Huh. Let me get you the research thing for Kali. As you saw, that's what's next, right? Kali Linux. I missed it. So Kali Linux is a Debian-based distro specifically designed for what we call digital forensics. All right, so a digital forensics Linux. Keep that in mind. That's really what this is. All right. So here's the Kali Linux revealed. Just the way to install it. Let me show you what it actually looks like. It's the Linux Fox. You're gonna love it. It works. Here are 10 cool hacks to do with Kali Linux. So these are cool things you can do. Kind of gives you an instruction on how to kind of do some of the stuff like network scanning, vulnerability assessment, password cracking. So you might have a device that's this in case you ever forget your password. You can just recover it basically. You can get in, take care of things. Now, here is a more like this is like a general guide sheet or cheat sheet for Kali Linux. And it's set up in a different style than most of these others. How did it happen twice? I got a feeling I'm just gonna have to keep the very first one up. It's the second pre-search query that I missed. Alright. That's the one we just did. This is the next one. So this one that we're about to show you, it's basically Kali Linux, but you know, on mobile device on an Android. It's just basically serious testing with Linux. It allows you to make it more mobilized, stuff like that. Give that link again. Alright, so here is the NetHunter rootless installation guide. Again, this is from Cali, the people. This is from the people that invented it. They give you the guide. Now here is specifically how to do it on Android phones, because I think this is probably how most people are going to be using this. So really, seriously, testers only. And then here are actual tips and tricks to use with Kali NetHunter, like optimizations, fixes, and issues that you can have with like Android and other problems. You see videos, super tons of information, everything you need probably in one spot, but you're gonna have to go look through it. All right, LMD, okay, Linux Mint Debian Edition. So this is basically Linux Mint cloned through a different backend design, basically, so to speak. Okay. So now here is your Linux Vox installation and comprehensive guide. It's got all the stuff. It's one of the bigger ones. Nice. Now here is basically another installation guide, but how to do it with expert mode. So jumpstart in expert mode as you get started, if that's what you're needing, because this will kind of explain to you a lot more, believe it or not, just installing. Okay. All right. So Peppermint OS. This is one of the ones I talk about all the time. I use Peppermint OS fully loaded Debian to save mine, but normal. This is actually regular Peppermint OS, which is still really good, lightweight, user-friendly Linux. Yeah, let's do this. So here's the Linux Vox for Peppermint OS. It's one of the smaller ones, even though it's got more options. It's still one of the smaller ones. Here is just a video to help you set it up and configure. These sometimes take time or whatever, so like this guide kind of helps you out. Alright. Next one is Tails. I've talked about this a few years ago. This is the best for privacy Linux distro. If you need a privacy Linux and you cannot have any amount of scrutiny, you need that security and privacy all in one, Tails is going to get you there. It's designed specifically for that. Now here's the Linux Vox for Tails. And here is basically how to focus on privacy and anonymity online, and how to use that privacy and anonymity with this distro, because that's what 99% of people who want to use Tails, this is what they want it for. Now, TrueNAS, okay, if you ever need to share data in your home, this is how you go, okay? With Linux, TrueNAS is the method for sharing data at home. See, it's an open source storage operating system that provides robust data management, sharing, and protection features for both home and enterprise users. So yeah, even businesses do use this at times. Let's go on. So how to set up your TrueNAS Community Edition. Now, I do believe Linus Tech Tips have done a bunch of videos on like how they got TrueNAS set up for Linus's house. And they had a bunch of issues that they had to figure out, and they kind of explain how they got through it. So if you're having a lot of problems with TrueNAS, might be a way to look. Otherwise, this is the one to go through. It kind of gets you there. It's a little shaky to get there, but it gets you there. So here's some tricks you're probably going to need to know if you're using this, okay? Basically, become a TrueNAS wizard. It's that last one. All right, Lynn His, okay? If you got a home theater, this is the Linux Mint for you. Well, this is the Linux for you. I don't know why I said Linux Mint. This is the Linux for you, okay? Here's how to install it. Again, this is not Linux Vox. This is directly from them. Like, they're so niche that basically all the data we have for them comes from them. Even the tips. Okay. So the next one we want to talk about is Manjaro. Manjaro is another one that's constantly updated Linux versions. It is more user friendly than Arch, that most people would consider. Um, it's like definitely considered more user friendly. It's a big one that a lot of people use. So this is how you install it. This is the Linux box for it. Okay, and here are some common things to do afterwards. If we scroll down and look what they're talking about, and they're like, point to the fastest mirror for your data, and learn how to set up your fast track with mirrors, and update your system. So like this type of stuff is like basically ensuring your device is going to be speedy, making sure it's going to be synced right, and all these other little things. So SteamOS, yes, SteamOS, another gaming-focused Linux OS, a name that some gamers may actually recognize. That's right, Debian-based Linux system that provides console-like experience on Linux. So here's the Linux box for installing it, and a bunch of other options, believe it or not. Most of the tips and tricks and things about SteamOS directly come from the fact that it's used on Steam devices. So I figured, why not give you guys a website that basically explains to you how to build some of your own Steam devices, in this case, a Steam Mini PC. Now, I mean, like I said, we're speedrunning this. We still have quite a few to go. But we're starting to get to some of the more niche, and less known distros. This right here is Hyperbola, okay? Now, I know this is Libre Hyperbola. A lot of people have special names for these, like HyperX and things like that. So, have fun with that. But if you look here, it says it's privacy-focused, fully free and open source operating system. This is not one you ever have to pay for. Okay? These are people who prioritize software freedom and security as a combination pair. That sounds perfect. Okay? You're not going to like installing it. But once you get used to using it, you're going to like it. It's actually like a really it's down good. It's really fucking good for the simplicity built inside of it. So it's normally easier to do stuff. But you also can't get as much for it sometimes. Like there's not a whole lot of made for it. But you see they have a bunch of ways to take care of stuff. In Pac-Man, Arch, right? So there is stuff gonna be available because it's available because of like Arch and things. But you're gonna have to figure out how to change the context, syntax of your scripting for Hyperbola. That's it. So here's an initial installation guide, probably a little bit more easier one. It's just the Hyperbola wiki guide. We've shown you one of these wikis already for a guide, so you get that it's designed to be copy paste in as simple as possible. So the next one we're looking at is KOS or COS. Okay. So this is a modern Arch style Linux that is always updatable and not sectioned like some of the other ones. And this one uses the KDE Plasma desktop, which is one of my favorite desktops for Linux. But the real reason for this is that a lot of people who are coming to here, they're coming here directly from Mac. Okay, those are the number one people that use KOS are Mac users. They want that Mac feel. And this is one of the ones that get you really freaking close to it, okay? And even like just looking at this screen, like Mac 10 users probably look at it and go, whoa, that looks like Mac 10 with a new fresh paint. A little bit. Okay. But there are guides. Video guides are probably the more common one for this one that I saw. But it's definitely there. Okay, so now we are on finally Red Hat Linux. This is probably one of the more famous Linux styles that actually exist. This is really ideal for like businesses and developers. This is a enter enterprise grade operating system. This is actually what I would normally call the Mac of Linux. So Mac is like the enterprise grade uh, option for getting a computer operating system, right? Or a computer in general, a device. Apple, like those are the ones that are enterprise grade. Red Hat is an enterprise grade Linux that is not Mac. Okay, it's not trying to mimic Mac. It's not trying to be Mac. It's just top tier quality. That's the key point there. All right, here's the Linux box for installing it, and here is tips and tricks from Red Hat themselves about like getting used to Red Hat because it definitely does work different. Okay. CentOS. Okay, so this is one I think most people, when they talk about Linux or whatever, if they haven't heard of Red Hat, they've heard of CentOS. Or sometimes if they have heard of Red Hat, they do know of CentOS. Because CentOS is basically a free or FOSS version. It's not always free, but it's a FOSS version of Red Hat. It's just like Red Hat. It's designed to mimic Red Hat. Basically Red Hat, but FOSS. So it's open source. Here's how you install it. Here's the tips and tricks directly from CentOS themselves. For a little bit now, all of these are you click on them and it opens up and there's more there. Okay, so it's a ton of info. All right, ClearOS. Now, ClearOS in one sentence to help me describe this would be versatile. Okay, this is really designed to be like it says right there. It's the small business home user. It's basically like the 1990s Linux that people would use normally at their house and at their home. You know, they'd have one computer and they need to use it in both places. So this would be the one they'd go with. And ClearOS, I believe, gets the name because it's like, down here, Clear Linux Project creates an operating system software stacks that offer highly optimized performance, security, versatility, and manageability. Clear Linux OS employs the stateless concept of a strict separation between user and system for easier OS management. Okay, pretty neat. Now, believe it or not, this is a very Windows-like OS. Okay, very Windows-like, not Windows mimicking, but Windows-like. Windows users tend to see this and they just kind of can figure out how to get around on accident. Okay, but it's not actually mimicking it or doing anything like that. And I hate to be honest, there is just a second guide. There's no tips and tricks. It's just a second guide. It's a different guide. It's slightly different. I think this one's slightly easier in some cases, but I think the first one like really would get you there. But yeah. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. There we go. Linux XP. Yep, you read that right. Okay, it's not up there now. It was up there yesterday, but it's not up there now. All right, believe it or not, you might actually have to register this OS to use it. But it looks like Windows XP. I would say more like Windows 98 SP2, but I mean, like, not even one. You can't always be super picky about this stuff. Here you go. Linux on XP is the actual official name. Um, that's the only thing I have for it. Like, there's not a whole lot on this. So, bring that to you one more time. Here's how you install it. Here's basically all most people are going to know about it. Okay? Now, let me get you that other research. I just wanted to make sure you guys got that because I think I clicked it off pretty quickly. I was just ready to move on because there's not a whole lot about that one that people really know. Like, you kind of got to play with it to learn it. So, Salix OS. So this one is a Slackware based Linux, which back in like I was younger, Slackware Linux was like the one everyone used. It's an older style type of Linux, but people still use this stuff to this day, and they're using it through Salix. Now, here is the #1 installation and user guide for Salix. Each one of these is a button to click on to read. It's a lot of information, but they have it set up so if you're looking for specific things like installation or downloading or partitioning or actually installing through the USB or disk, it's all there. It's like literally every little thing you could ever think of is there. Using it, not so much. Nope. Not so much on using it. This is Android x86. This is basically Android on your desktop, okay? Basically. Here's the Linux box to install it, okay? Here is well, I don't know how to explain it, a video to help you install it. Also, maybe to help you understand a little bit of it. And then here's troubleshooting procedures, because this is one of the Linux distros. A lot of Linux distros, people tend to have a lot of troubleshooting problems. So there tends to be a lot of troubleshooting guides. That's actually a positive. That means almost every problem that exists, there's a troubleshooting guide to help you with it. Nice. Alright, so this is Lineage OS. Now, Lineage OS is, again, one of those open source Android operating systems. And I have a note here because, hear me out, the last Linux distro was just Android on your desktop. So how about we put Linux on your phone? And not Chrome based or not Samsung based. None of those common ones. This is like open source Linux on your phone. Dead serious. Alright, first off, there's a bunch of different Lineage versions for different phones. So you, based on what kind of device you have, you might need a different version of Lineage OS. Because not all the phones work exactly the same. So now here is actually an installation guide on your device. And, well, here's the cheat sheet for Lineage OS. Okay? Just cheat it up, figure it out, learn how to do it, because it's got all these are options and things to learn from. So you can kind of go down to find the exact thing you're looking for. You can learn about it, how to do whatever it is you need to do. Including, like, look, privacy was in there. Gosh darn. Everything. This really is more for, like, developers stuff, but if you're wanting your own personalized Linux on your phone, here you go. Alright, so Crux. I really thought about not entering Crux, but at the same time, Crux is just a different type of Linux. This doesn't mean, like it says here, it's for people who prefer simplicity in customizing through ports. Okay? So this is like insanely old style technology being used nowadays on brand new technology in a way that I think newer age people would really like. But it's Crux. If you can't hear from the name, it's going to be a Crux. You're going to be cross-Crux to try to do this, bro, because, well, there's a lot here that you're going to have to read at least. See how short some of these really are? Some of these don't. Some of these really have nothing here. And then some of these are just, it's not much more than putting in the information and letting it do its job. Now, here's more information on it, how it works, the curiosities. This will probably help you understand it. Okay, and I do believe there's a bit of installation here or something like that. Yeah, installation process, a simplified installation process is here. Yeah. Okay, so did you know they had Linux on PlayStation 2? Well, they did. So So here's how you install it. This is basically more of like to help you understand it. I don't know if they actually show you how to install it. They kind of show you what you can do with it, you know. And I think this one, like they got their video here, so really cool. Now, MCC Ethereum Linux. Okay, this is one of the Linux distros designed for everyone. Okay? This is one of the elder Linux distros designed for everyone. There are no guides, but this Archive OS is where you can find it to download it, to at least attempt to install it. And it kind of explains to you what you need to do to install it and what devices support it. I don't actually have to go ahead and install this one. Okay. Soft landing Linux system. Okay. This is the first Linux distro in existence. From my understanding, this is the very first one. Here's how you install it. This one has a guide. It's the only one I could find that worked. And it worked. Oh boy, did it work. So, Yagdil, and I'm saying it wrong. It's pronounced like Dragosil, I think is what it's pronounced. This was like this was a pioneering Linux distro. This one like pioneered better network connectivity and other unique experiences we wouldn't have in other OSs without Yggdrasil. Here's how you access it. It's where you get it. Download right here. It tells you a little bit of information you know about it, what it's kind of used for, how it's designed. You see what it looks like. Here's how you install it. Okay. Here's how you get there. Now, if you want to go to a blast from the past, 1995, here's how they did it in 1995. Dead serious, dude. So cool. I really recommend this video. Alright. Okay. Wow. Okay. The perspective I really wanted to change for you today is that regardless of your need, there is a Linux distro out there waiting for you. And if for some reason there isn't, you can simply just make it. Next, I will be linking you general Linux guides to help you after you have some form of Linux on a device for you to play with. So these are just, we're not going to go through them. These are generic Linux guides, and tips, tricks, all that to help you out. This is the next step after you have a Linux distro to play with. Here are some tips, tricks, and guides. Alright, first off, 21 time-saving tips and tricks. Become a pro, basically, with these tricks. And some of these is basically like how do you use like this one's basically teaching you how to use the terminal better, right? It's teaching you how to do multiple commands so the terminal can handle a bunch of things at once. It's giving you visuals, all that fun stuff. 13 time-saving Linux terminal tricks. Literally everyone should be using right now. And some of this is similar but different because some Linux distros are more about the sudo, while other ones are more about the CD reference key thing. Where was it at? Yeah, this stuff. Okay. CD is just a command, but it's a common one. So it's a common one for use for explanations, examples, things like that. Alright. The Ultimate Linux Guide for admins and users. Now, when you're using a Linux, if you're the main and only person using that Linux, you are the admin and the user, because you can be two different things on Linux. You can both be the admin and the user, and those can be separate. So here is like the Linux Linux tutorials and some articles to help you out beyond. Now it's really long, a lot here. Linux Vox, if you really want to go through it, they have a lot more tutorials. They have Linux commands. They even have a blog, insane amount of stuff here for you guys. This is the place that's going to get you beyond that next step. This is like the third or fourth step after you got Linux installed. This is the one for you. Now, perhaps you didn't see a Linux distro you actually thought you might want to tackle. And maybe none of these tickle your fancy. Maybe you need a much larger list. Well, there is one right here on Wikipedia, a much larger list of distros you can try. Okay? Might not tell you where to find them and all that, but I mean, at least they tell you about them. And then you can figure it out from there. Okay. So. Wow. At the beginning, I gave you some real info on how to handle seriously terrible situations, how to refresh your OS. Many people do not want to switch to Linux because they hear how hard it is. But there is an entire system in Linux to help you quickly return back where you left off, including backup systems. So I gave away that info quickly. Over the next few episodes, we will be going over Linux specifically in a new light. So after this, it will be assumed you are trying to switch Linux or you were just trying a new Linux out. Seriously though, there really is a Linux distro of almost every form imaginable, and even those forms will have many similar but different copies. Slightly different but uniquely changed reasons for each of those copies. Linux isn't just an OS, just for nerds. It's not just for even the device enthusiasts. It's basically specialized operating systems for every type of person, situational event, or device. You shouldn't be scared of Linux. It offers a ton of options, but that's because there's a ton of different types of people, situations, and devices needing to rely on Linux. And so there's everyone pitches in and helps out. And at the same time, we end up with this like huge amount of different effort equals different Linux, which equals different capability and possibility in a whole. So the Linux experience isn't the one only experience like you get with Windows and Macintosh, Apple. Instead, everyone with Linux has basically the opportunity for a completely unique experience. Unlike anyone else, and depending on which distro you actually go with, will even defer that experience more. So if you're unhappy with the Linux that you're on, well, just try a different loadout, yo. That's basically the setup. That's basically the game, and that is how we're going to play it. Thank you all for showing up, jumping in, and coming in. I think we're finally here to the exit.
Yo, did you think you know? Did you think you hold? Did you think something new? That's the goal, to see from a new degree and get the change your mind needs to find something new. Life suddenly is easy for many, but when a wall appears, sometimes up is all you see. So let 3D guide to the side, yo, where there's a door though. Just be careful on your way out, for the first step is a do-see-do. A little bit Linus with something different, it's almost like he's something else. And regardless of maybe, perhaps it was that missing piece you was needing. Maybe it was that simple message you was searching. Definitely it's just in different times, a defraying our mental mind, say separating us from our own mental mind tank. Boom goes the blast of thought. Boom goes the last spark with part. Boom goes the mental mind tank. Don't your perspective hit on the way out. Don't let your directive stop you when you doubt. Don't let the dire detection stop you from being getting excited. So the photons are delighted. Don't hesitate so we can line up the hash rate. Let me surmise the time, submit the rate, and reduce the fakes while we mine our major bags. Crypto technology like cryptographic money, while hashing your life into a set of QRs. It doesn't matter, cause this was 3D changes perspectives. Thank you for joining the show. Please return next time for a new role of perspective. Thank you for joining the show. Please return next time for a brand new perspective. Of perspective. Thank you for joining the show. Please return next time for a brand new perspective.